What's up, YouTube fam? We are out here at the Children's Fresh Air Farm, aka Arbor Alley, located in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm going to switch things up and play a little bit of a different round, but it's raining. I'm gonna keep the mic on for some added commentary of what we're doing, but I'm gonna throw it over to Booth Robbie to see if he can give some commentary throughout this whole round, and maybe we can learn some things while we go throughout this.
What is up, y'all? We got a little bit of permission for a special bag, and we're starting, of course, because it's a Robbie C bag, we've got a pig, but we're also going to be throwing the Paradox today, a mid I've been recommending a lot, the standard putter, and the big dog, which is a really unique kind of catch and throw frisbee. We've got this pretty unique bag, and that's not the only challenge that we're looking to do today. We're going to be throwing with our offhand. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are playing this round left-handed in the rain with some different frisbees, and let me tell you, the first thing I knew was that putting was definitely going to be rough today. But with my mechanics being off, I truly wanted to see if I could achieve par at this course, or maybe even better with simply decision making, because really, guys, if I'm throwing the disc more than like 120 or 150 feet, I am absolutely feeling it on that drive. So I'm just trying to feel out the motion, and I know a lot about throwing, so let's see if I can implement it. Yeah, no, I'm not Eagle McMahon. I'm not just a super great player with both hands. Who knew? On this next shot, I'm trying to get close to the basket, and I thought about throwing a putter approach here, but then I thought maybe I could get there with this Paradox, and I do throw it pretty decently straight into the back wall of the trees. We aren't going to be too happy with that result, as when we approach this putt, we realize that that big old tree is actually directly between me and the basket, so I instantly don't have the opportunity to even putt for a par. I just have to lay up and take my bogey, and decision making has already put us behind the par train, and so we're going to try to correct that in the future and just lay up when we have the opportunity to lay up and take our pars and be happy.
Well, we got aggressive and it didn't work.
Hole 2 moves in the same direction as hole 1, but there's a pavilion off to the right that you have to throw between and a tree line on the left. So we get a hold of this one and actually felt that power on that throw, so we're pretty happy.
Find out, everybody, when you're throwing with your arm you're not used to, especially when it's like cold outside. I can tell by my fingers like going pink because I can't really feel them. Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
Birdies and birdie looks are going to be few and far between here on this course, but remember, our goal is to play for par. So I have the big dog out here, and I'm not even really trying to give it an aggressive run. I just want to try to get it close to the basket. I'll tell you though, that big dog felt odd in my hand. It's a very deep disc anyways, and so I left myself a tester at about 20 feet here, and it wasn't pretty, but it's a par.
Woo! Sketchy putts.
Hole 3 brings us into more of the open part of the course, and that Mando on the right is something that really shouldn't come into play, so I'm just trying to give a nice controlled shot out there. 215 is asking for a lot, and yeah, I was trying to hit it really hard, and so I threw the disc really hard. I'm pulling out the pig here for an approach. I'm trying to make sure that I'm going wide left because I'm using an overstable disc that should reliably fade out for me at the end. It's going to hook right, so I just need to make sure I put it far enough left. And sure enough, it's one of the beauties of having an overstable putt and approach disc in your bag, is you know what it's going to do. Even if you don't really have solid mechanics in throwing it, the disc can almost kind of autocorrect for you. There's another putter in this basket that was just waiting, and it was full of water. Bummer for them. Coming in at 345 feet, it is downhill. The basket sits on somewhat of an island green that's pretty protected by the road. I was trying to not make the same mistake that I had just made on the last hole, which was we have a long hole, so I need to throw harder. I'm going to rely on the disc and try to comfortably throw it. When I do this, it got up, it floated its way down the hill, and honestly, guys, this was the best shot of the day.
That was beautiful.
I'm looking for a soft approach, so I thought the pig was going to be too overstable, so I step up to this big dog once again, thinking I can just give it a nice floaty approach, and I actually let it hyzer out.
We have left ourselves a putt.
So 2 for 2 on the big dog, being tough for me to throw that touch upshot that I've been looking for, and I have left a long putt here. We're probably sitting at about 25 to 30 feet. and I'm not able to convert because honestly that is way beyond my comfort zone. I take a great drive and I pick the wrong disc for the upshot once again, and we grab our second bogey because I just didn't pick the right disc. I didn't throw what was comfortable in my hands. We're heading into hole 5. There's a Mando here that kind of baits you into hitting that gap, but I don't know how this paradox is coming out of my hand just yet, especially to try to hit that straight of a gap. But I know if I can get a hold of this, I can throw it on some ante, make sure that I get it around, and even if it burns into the ground, I'm okay because there's free space to the right and there's free space to the left as long as I make the Mando. That is goal number 1. From here, I'm once again looking at a straight gap or a big hyzer gap, and I'm playing through my head, what shots have I been throwing well today? What shots am I comfortable with? And throwing the straight shot would probably require me to throw the big dog, or I can throw that hyzer with the pig, and I've thrown that shot really well already, so why not try to find that shot again if it's out there? Now I hesitate in lefty putting to call anything parked that isn't literally dropped into the basket, but this feels like a pretty safe distance for me to be able to hit that putt. It was about 12 to 15 feet. We made a smart decision off the tee, and we made an even smarter decision trying to throw the upshot with the right disc. For hole 6, the basket's sitting behind that tree, and traditionally I might try to throw the turnover with this disc, but I don't know that I can control the disc all the way down there and still have it turning, so I'm going to try to go for a bit of a hyzer line, which means for a lefty, I need to start this disc pretty far left. Unfortunately, I misexecute and put it on too much hyzer, and I miss my line.
That's a putt. We'll take that every day of the week.
I actually really like the optimism that I was feeling during the round, especially stepping into this putt. I was trying to envision the disc going in the basket and feeling what a smooth putting stroke would feel like, and some negative thoughts got in my head. And so I'm pretty happy I actually got this moment on camera. I physically step away from my lie, I refocus, get some positive thoughts, think about something else, I come back into the putt, and I go right back into that, feel the putting stroke, feel a good smooth putting stroke, and just envision the disc going in the basket.
Ladies and gentlemen, was it pretty? Absolutely not. Did it go in the basket? Absolutely.
Y'all, we just birdied, which feels pretty wonderful. Hole 7, probably one of the toughest holes on the course. If you end up on the right side, it's absolute jail, so there's a lot of safety and freedom to the left, so we're okay pulling the disc over. We just don't want to go right. Anything that isn't right is great. A birdie on this hole feels pretty wonderful when you're playing a normal round, and so I'm pretty comfortable with a par on this, and I pull out the big dog once again because current Robbie in the middle of the moment kept telling himself over and over again, the big dog's the shot. Throw a nice floaty upshot, almost view it like you're throwing your polecat or your normal approach disc, and I tried to make this big dog work over and over throughout the round. And as you can see, it just kind of didn't. I still felt off. It's like my grip was different, and I'm leaving myself another about 15 to 20 foot tester just because I'm still trying to make that big dog work the entire time during this round. Now, like I said, it was raining the entire time, and on hole 8, I was a complete silly man and totally thought that I had my phone recording while I was doing this, and yeah, I wasn't. It's pretty straightforward. There's a Mando here that you have to throw left of to protect some buildings, and when you see where this drive landed, I was pretty excited, and sorry guys, I was not in the proper refilming process because, well, it was raining. We're going to take a few minutes to talk about some takeaways after hole 9, but for here, I'm pretty stoked for an opportunity to get back to even, and guys, I was really fired up to drain that putt.
It is crazy when you stop trying to throw hard how much easier it is to throw farther than you've been throwing. And far is a relative distance. Let's call it what it is.
I said hole 7 was the hardest hole on the course, but hole 9 definitely takes the cake. Tight gap you have to hit off the tee, and I, once again, Robbie during the round, did not realize or make connections that the big dog was a struggle. And so I'm going for this soft toss off the tee because I didn't want to power up on that paradox. I throw it soft just like I wanted to, but I don't have control and it hyzers out off to the right. I thought I was going to be okay, but I find myself actually really pinched off, and there is really no line except to try to throw as hard as I can through this tree, hope that it then goes around the other trees. And yeah, when you're throwing full power into a tree, it's not going to go well, so don't put yourself in those opportunities if you're trying to play it well. I go away from the big dog, finally make the midsole connection, and I just try to throw the paradox nice and soft because I knew the pig was going to be too overstable, and really this was the only other option I had. We throw it on anhyzer, it goes into the ground, floats its way up there. Boom, we have ourselves a nice about 10-foot putt to try to close out our round, and unfortunately we aren't able to save an under par round, but we do have some takeaways and some things we learned along the way. So we'll send it back to current Robbie to wrap things up for us.
So, what are our lessons learned? I wish I could say that I was able to head to this pitch and putt course and shoot par or better, but unfortunately I wasn't able to, and I think there's a couple reasons why. First, let's call it what it is. Conditions weren't great. I was playing a little bit of a rush round because I was honestly concerned about my equipment, but also I should have been prepared and maybe asked someone to come shoot this video with me, so that's on me, and it's not a valid excuse to just have conditions. We just kind of have to acknowledge that they're there, so yeah, check on that one. Basic excuses over. The second takeaway is that some of you have probably watched this video and been like, wow, that is a crazy easy course, but I picked this course because it kind of fits in difficulty compared to where my lefty form is at. Like I said in the beginning of the video, me throwing anywhere over about 150 feet was a fantastic throw for me that day, and anything beyond 150 I really didn't have any control over, so having holes that were 200 feet meant that I wasn't able to reach all of them. And for those of you out there who can throw 250 feet, it's like playing a course full of 300-foot holes. It gave me opportunities to make smart decisions, and most of the time when I made smart decisions, I was able to convert on those pars. And when I didn't make smart decisions, well, you guessed it, I took bogeys. A great example is the 345-foot downhill hole. If I break that down playing for par, all I needed was 270-foot shots, and bada boom, bada bing, I have a par. But being real with myself, 170 feet is my max distance when throwing that disc, so asking myself to throw two fantastic and accurate max distance shots is asking a lot, so I should actually be okay with a 4 on that hole. What I'm not okay with is being overly aggressive on hole 1, and rather than laying up to a gap and giving myself a putt, I tried to get it totally pinned under the basket, and because of that I pushed it too straight and threw way too much disc for what I needed. Speaking of choosing the wrong disc, probably the biggest takeaway is something that I think a lot of us can connect with, and that's trying to make a disc work when it just doesn't. The Big Dog is a funny disc, and it makes a great warm-up tool, and my wife actually keeps this in her bag when we go out and play. But as someone who grips a lot of disc golf discs and rarely grips disc golf discs with his left hand trying to throw them, the depth of the Big Dog is pretty hard to overcome, and it felt pretty awful in my hand, and I didn't really get any good throws with it the entire round. This just led to poor execution and testing myself on the follow-up shots in a way that was completely unnecessary. I think lots of us can relate that there's a disc that really feels like we should be able to throw it, and we try to make it work over and over again, but we just have to accept that if we want to play our best golf, it may be worth finding another mold or another option, at least for the time being, until either we can grow into that disc or we can find a different type of plastic or option regarding that mold. I've got nothing against keeping a disc in your bag for nostalgic feels or anything like that, but if you're throwing it on a regular basis and it usually doesn't work out well for you, that might be a sign it's time to move on. Overall, I thought this was a really fun challenge, and I hope that you learned honestly as much as I did while going through this video. If you guys want more videos like this where maybe I take an educational approach to commentary rather than just saying, hey, we throw a hyzer here because that's what people do, then feel free to let me know in the comments. I want to say thank you for coming by and thank you for checking out the channel. I am so grateful for each and every one of you, and I hope you have an incredible rest of the week. But for now, I'm going to leave you with the birdie.